Now, here is the critical bit. No goals, no positive emotion. This is from Peterson, the psychologist. If you don't have goals, you will not have much positive emotion. Because the way the brain is set up, and for our purposes, we only need to know two words, two of these hormones, serotonin and dopamine, okay? The brain knows when you are moving towards your goal, guess what happens? The brain releases serotonin. It's a positive emotion. Then, when you finish, or you're moving closer to your goal, and you stop, then dopamines kick in, which motivates you. That's the motivating hormone. That motivates you to want to do it again. So, whenever you're moving towards a goal, you're going to get positive reinforcement, positive emotion. Whenever you finish or get close to the goal, you'll have the dopamine that kicks in that will encourage you to do more, do it again. You want to do it again. That's why if you're a runner, like Guillaume is, and then you run and you get what they call the runner's high. When you finish your workout, you just feel really good most of the time. You're tired, but you feel good. And the next day you're motivated to do it again. So that's how the brain works. So if you've got a goal, and guess what, you guys? Your brain doesn't care how big the goal is. By the way, this is, I'll just share this quickly. You guys probably, as young as you don't have to worry about going to sleep, and sleep is not a big deal. Although it is a big deal, because when you're sleeping is when your brain cleanses itself. And it's not on like an 8 or 12-hour cycle. Every 3 hours, it goes through the cycle cleansing itself out. And so if you get 8 hours of sleep, you've got 8 hours of brain cleansing. If you constantly waking up or can't go to sleep or have a hard time sleeping, then eventually that builds up and it's not healthy, okay? So sleep for you guys, for all of us, sleep is really important. However, one good way of going to sleep is, before when you lay down in bed, you think of that day. And what did you accomplish that day? Well, I made my bed. I fixed breakfast. I didn't yell, I didn't kick the dog. As you think of the little tiny micro things that you accomplish towards your goal, any goal, teeny little goal, you feel better. Your brain relaxes. It'll let you go to sleep. And it works like a charm. I do it every night. Sometimes I have a hard time thinking, what did I do today? But I can think of something that I did that was moving towards a goal, and you get the serotonin. Now,
when is something a goal then?
What's that?
Because the goals can be like really small. When is something a goal?
Make your bed.
Yes.
So I get up in the morning, I make my bed. I've accomplished the goal. And your brain doesn't care. It goes, accomplished goal, serotonin, feel good. Or you clean up your room, or you fix your breakfast, or you accomplish something. And it can be very, very little, very minor. Your brain doesn't know the difference. All it knows is that you're moving towards a goal, and it rewards you for doing that. When you don't have any goals, and again, in the postmodern world, when what has been taken away from you is the sense of any meaning and any meaningful direction and any sense of truth, any sense of value, all these things have been stripped away. Where are you going to find it? It's not there. And so this is one of the reasons why your Z generation and others who are engaged in this, you're feeling anxious, depressed, hopeless, fearful, angry, bitter, resentful, on and on and on, is because you don't have any positive reinforcements. There's nothing to have a goal for. And so and laying on the couch playing video games is probably not a good goal, because the goals have to be valuable. They have to be, they have to have something of meaning. And so what happens then is, especially in panic attacks, anybody have panic attacks on occasion? Okay, panic attacks is, I'm not sure exactly, Jonathan, you know better than I do. But when you get a microphone that is in front of the amplifier, is that when you get the squeal?
I would not know, actually.
Yeah, so when you get the microphone in front of the amplifier, that's when you get that horrible screechy, but what happens, it's called a feedback loop. So the microphone, the amplifier picks up what's coming through the microphone and pushes it out, and it hits the microphone and goes back to the amplifier, and it's higher now, and goes back and it goes back and forth in that closed loop then, and ends up in a screech. Well, that's what a panic attack is, a downside. So, you don't do anything, you don't accomplish anything, you feel horrible about yourself, and so you do less, you feel worse, you do less, you feel worse, you get more anxious, and that anxious, and then it spins around, and finally it ends up as a panic attack. So, this is goal setting and having goals and moving towards them is incredibly important. So,
Question.
sorry, yes,
I
I mean,
also think that in our generation, it's paradox, but we feel the pressure to have goals. And I think it's it's a paradox, because on the one hand we are very lazy, but on the other hand we are very pressured to have goals. And when we don't have goals, we feel anxious, because everybody's like, you need to have goals. And it's like vicious circle. So I know that when people tell me that you need to have goals, I'm like, blah, just leave me alone, I just want to live my life.
right, yeah.
Because you can see that on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like you have to have dreams, you have to have goals, you have to have big aspirations, you have to dream big, and if you don't, you're a loser, because you don't have
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I really wish there was another way,
but I understand.
but that it seems that this is the way we were designed and created, this is the way our brain functions. And the other thing you have to do though, and I put down here, be kind to yourself. Do this incrementally. Dr. Peterson gives an example of a guy who was just, he was just, what's the right term? Paralyzed with fear. And he couldn't hardly do anything, he could barely get out of the house. And so Dr. Peterson said, well, just try a little goal. How about cleaning up your room? And the guy came back and said, I couldn't do it. He said, I got the vacuum cleaner up in the doorway, but I had to step over it every day, but I couldn't do it. And so he said, okay. Do you have a drawer where you keep your socks or whatever? Do you have a drawer? I said, yeah. I said, well, can you just open the drawer and roll your socks up and organize your drawer? And he goes, maybe. So he comes back and he's all excited. Hey, I organized my drawer. I got, my pair of socks are rolled up. Amen. I feel better. And Peter says, well, try doing another drawer, And so what was happening is, and again, this is the dilemma, and this is part of being in the postmodern soup. What it creates is that sense of anxiety because there's nowhere to go. There's no meaning. There's no value. So there's no reason to have any goals, other than so you can put them on TikTok or whatever. But for most of us, there's no driving force in order to move us forward. Except now, I'll bring in the spiritual side here. You are not your own. You don't own yourself. You don't have a choice. Okay? There is no choice here. If you're a disciple, you are full on. Got it? Full on. No excuses. None. You got to do it. Not for you, but for him. Right? If that doesn't motivate you, good luck. That's because, it's a crapshoot from then on. Any goal is better than no goal. And when Christ calls us to follow him, then that becomes our motivation, ultimately. And to the degree he guides us and leads us, that's up to, and that, that depends, I think. There's a lot of room for that. But I think, you get it back to what you said, and that's a good observation, I think. But, in the Christian circle, once we become Christ followers and disciples, then we are obliged to be perfect, which means we're obliged to live out our lives so that at the end of your life, you can present yourself as perfect before God in the sense that this is the potential you gave me. This is what you gave me. And throughout my life, I have worked with it. I have exercised it. I have made it a reality, because this is creating with God. It goes from being a potential to a reality. It goes from chaos to order. And so when we come before God and stand before him, we will be that perfect fruit. All of the things that he put within us, we have developed, matured. See, we've grown up into be what God has. We're the seed, let's put it that way. We're the seed that God plants in the ground that grows into this massive big bush. And the bush can only grow so big and so much, but then he's full, he's perfect. And that's what God is calling us to. And so each and every one of us, no excuses saying, no, can't do it. Then discipleship's not optional. When you're called, you're a slave. You obey the master. And Jesus has said, I'm calling you in. Now, why would he do that? Because that's the best thing for us. You will get the most fulfillment, the most meaning, the most value, the most of everything out of your life. And it has nothing to do with how much money you make. It has nothing to do with, your status or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, when you stand before Jesus, he's going to say, well done, you good and famous servant. You really made a name for yourself. Good job, buddy. Or, well done, good and wealthy servant. You made a bunch of money. I'm so proud of you. No. Well done, good, and faithful. Faithful to what? Faithful to what he gave you. What he started you out with, Naomi. What's that going to look like in 10 years, or 20 years, or 50 years? What's it look like? Well, it's going to be Naomi at her fullest, at her best. The very best version of you that's possible. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Guillaume.
Yeah. I think there is, as Anand said, the pressure it's all about the line of this word, but we have to do great things, good things, better, not fail. And God has prepared good deeds in advance for us. We just have to enter in his plans. So, someone one day said this to me, but God will never blame us because we missed a goal or because we failed somewhere, but he could blame us because we never have tried.
Yeah.
So this is not about success, because God is going to make us successful, but it's just about I want to try again and again and again and again, and this is faithfulness.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think too, that's a great point. But I think too that sometimes, there's books out there and people talk about, well, we need to finish well. And I'm going, no, we don't. Look at Jesus, how did he cross the finish line? Yeah, no way, he didn't look very good. Beat up, broken, bruised, battered. My best example is, I don't know if you've ever watched the Iron Man contest, the running, biking, and swimming, contest. There's one where the guy falls down, I don't know, say 20 meters from the end, and he's crawling on his hands and he's just getting across the finish line. To me, that's the finish line of in Christianity. Just my vision of myself is I'm going to be crawling up there, just trying to make it across the line. Because life's tough, you know, it's hard, and we have to persevere. You know, and I would be lying to if you told it was any different. It's not. It's going to be an adventure, but it's going to be required on us that we give full effort. There's no middle ground here. Again, moving forward on little decisions, John, let's just play with on decisions, because oftentimes we think the big pictures require the big steps, and oftentimes life is determined on the little decisions you make every day. It's not just one big decision, it's the multiple decisions you make every day.
Every decision that you make has consequences. Even the smallest decisions. Are you making yourself better? Are you making yourself worse? Are you moving forward or are you moving back? Are you making progress or are you stagnating? Every little decision you make counts. Make the right decisions. Every decision that you make has...
Sorry, was that what you were talking about? The guys coming out, everything goes, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. Sorry, don't say that.